Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's your man Dollar Bill Score right here. I'm just checking in with everyone right quick. What's up to the family? Shouts out to the FBA family, ADOS, Friedman. We all out there and we all in here. All right, so I won't make this long, but I want to share a piece I saw this morning on CBS Mornings. And it was, of course, about anti-Semitism, since that's the hot topic lately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this clip play in its entirety, and then I'll double back, and then I'll do the stop and go and do some breaking down from there. So let's get into this clip right here.
At its very best, social media has the power to bring people together, but it has also made it easier to spread lies and to attack people for who they are. And in that latter category, that includes anti-Semitism, now more prevalent by many measures than it has been in decades, this according to the Anti-Defamation League. One synagogue in Los Angeles is giving Jewish teenagers now the space to talk about anti-Semitism as a group. Carter Evans spoke with some of those teens to find out how hatred is affecting them personally.
At Shomrei Torah Synagogue outside Los Angeles.
What are the things that you have had to deal with in terms of anti-Semitism in your own lives?
Rabbinic intern Avram Elner has an honest talk with Jewish teens who speak openly.
Swastikas were being spray painted in my locker area.
They were saying Hail Hitler.
I was just heartbroken when I heard what Kanye said, because truthfully, it's not just Kanye that's saying all of this. It's a catalyst for so much more.
How did you deal with it? What did you do to get through that moment?
I took off like any jewelry that indicated that I was Jewish, and I didn't deny, but I kind of erased it from like my personality publicly a lot of the time because I was just afraid.
I think what struck me about this conversation is how easily all of you were able to come up with multiple instances where you were the subject of anti-Semitism. So maybe with a show of hands, how many of you have seen swastikas in school? So most of you, okay. How many of you have been subjected to anti-Semitic language in school? The first time you realized what anti-Semitism was, the first time you experienced it, maybe saw it, how old were you?
I was online. I think I was 7 or 8, and it was like a super popular game. And there were these two trolls, I guess, and they said, "Hail Hitler, gas the Jews." And I still remember those exact words like so many years later, because they just kind of hit really deep. And it was kind of like a shaping experience for me.
What about social media? Do you see a lot of anti-Semitic language on social media?
Yes. That's that I believe is where I had my first encounterment with an anti-Semite. He ended up texting me one time in all caps, "Oven, oven, oven." Which
now the same text.
Yeah. I did report his account, but there's no way of knowing if anything actually happened.
Do you feel that it's easier for people to be anti-Semitic online?
Yeah.
The cover of the internet?
Absolutely.
It's like a blanket of protection over them. They could go online as any other name and say extremely extremist things, and then if, oh no, that account gets banned, I'll make another one.
I think that social media and pop culture has had some positive effects on marginalized communities, but we've also just seen the amplification of stereotypes and harmful conspiracies.
When someone like Kanye West amplifies those types of messages with his platform, does that give those words more power?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does, because he has a huge fan base. His followers on some social media account are double the amount of Jews in the world, which is crazy to think about. I know at least some of them might be anti-Semites, and that's a problem.
It goes from people, saying he's not really like that, he's whatever, going through a tough time, and then the next second there are neo-Nazis holding up signs on the 405 freeway on an overpass saying Kanye was right about the Jews.
Which brings me to another question. Why should everybody else care about anti-Semitism?
It's not just Jews. This can happen to anybody. Anti-Semitism, right now it's talking about Jews, but There are so many ways that it could be flipped against different minority and maybe even sometimes majority groups.
Any harm being done to human beings is unacceptable, and no matter who you are, you should care not because we're Jewish, but just because we're other humans.
Exactly
That's
right.
a very powerful conversation.
Very powerful, and they're so young
I know.
to get this lesson so early. It's just another really, really strong example of how your words have a lot of power. And I like what the young man said, you know, Kanye's words are a catalyst for others who may think differently and want to act out some of the crazy things that they've heard.
Yeah, teenagers already have enough to deal with.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Other teenagers are acting, I mean, you don't know anything at that age, and that's not who you want to be.
Yeah.
And you need to learn something.
No doubt about it.
Okay. I let that clip play in its entirety because I wanted everyone to soak it in. Now, I'm going to play that again, and I'm going to do some breaking down along the way. But before I do, I want to preface this by saying this is not an attack on any group of people. This isn't any slander or finger wagging. I'm not here to do that. I'm just here to actually point out some things that I feel are just kind of cap, like the kids say. This is cap. So let's run this clip back. All right,
At its very best, social media has the power to bring people together, but it has also made it easier to spread lies and to attack people for who they are. And in that latter category, that includes anti-Semitism, now more prevalent by many measures than it has been in decades. This according to the Anti-Defamation League.
All right, let's start right there. The Anti-Defamation League, with their reports and their numbers. Now, I'm not going to say that what they report is actual and accurate, but I do know that a lot of times information can be manipulated and distributed and disseminated to the people, especially when the source of that information has the access to the media that's pretty much the same source, if you get what I'm saying. All right? And so many words is just like, I'm going to make this comparison. I just want you all to get it. I'm going to use Eminem as an example. Right now, Eminem is very popular. He just went into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? But when was the last time you heard a brand new Eminem song on your radio station, your local FM station, your local hip hop station that plays hip hop on the weekends at the college stations? You haven't heard Eminem on FM commercial radio in a long time. Why, I don't know. But guess what? He has his own radio station on Sirius XM. So when you don't hear Eminem on FM radio, you will most definitely hear him on his own outlet. He can make the music and have it distributed on his own outlet. Same thing with the ADL. They can come up with their numbers and have it distributed through their quote-unquote own outlet. Let's go.
One synagogue in Los Angeles is giving Jewish teenagers now the space to talk about anti-Semitism as a group. Carter Evans spoke with some of those teens to find out how hatred is affecting them personally.
At Shomrei Torah Synagogue outside Los Angeles.
What are the things that you have had to deal with in terms of anti-Semitism in your own lives?
Rabbinic intern Avram Elner has an honest talk with Jewish teens who speak openly.
Listen to what they say.
Swastikas were being spray painted in my locker area.
They were saying Hail Hitler.
I was just heartbroken when I heard what Kanye said. Because truthfully, it's not just Kanye that's saying all of this. It's a catalyst for so much more.
All right. Outside of what Kanye said, listen to what the other kids were saying. They were having swastikas spray painted, I guess, on their lockers in school. And they had someone screaming out, Hail Hitler to them. Now, ask yourself, Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, Who in the community of foundational black Americans is running around spray painting swastikas and screaming "Hail Hitler" to the Jewish community, especially Jewish teenagers? That ain't nothing that we do. All right, now I have images of Dave Chappelle, Kanye West, and Kyrie Irving, because they are the main three boogie monsters from the black community that so-called hate that community so much that they are making them the blanket and the paintbrush for the entire black community. And I am here amongst with everyone else to put a hold to this, because that's not true. I've been around a long time. I have a lot of black friends, all right? None of them, including myself, goes around or went around as teens screaming "Heil Hitler" and spray painting swastikas on Jewish kids' lockers. We don't do that. Those in the dominant society do that. When you hear things like that, like swastikas being spray painted, you automatically know who that's coming from. That's not coming from us. Let's go.
How did you deal with it? What did you do to get through that moment?
I took off like any jewelry that indicated that I was Jewish, and I didn't deny, but I kind of erased it from.
She had to, in so many words, tuck her chain in.
Like my personality publicly a lot of the time, because I was just afraid.
I think what struck me about this conversation is how easily
Listen to
all of
this.
you were able to come up with multiple instances where you were the subject of anti-Semitism.
Hey, who from that community hasn't come up with multiple instances of encountering anti-Semitism? Who from that community hasn't? It is literally getting to the point where if you don't even say anything, you're considered an anti-Semite. It is literally, they're really making it like almost cartoonish and clownish now. Hey, man, you got your peanut butter in my chocolate. No, you've got your chocolate in my peanut butter. Uh-oh, you're an anti-Semite. It's going to get to that point. Hey, man, what time is it? Oh, man, you're a damn anti-Semite. It's going to get to that point. It's going to get, when I mean that to that point, it's going to get to that point in a clownish, cartoonish kind of way. In so many words, no one's going to take you serious. It's getting to be like the boy who cried wolf. You guys have a chip on your shoulder in your community. And it's like the slightest thing can be considered anti-Semitism. Hey, good morning. How's it going today? Oh my God, you're an anti-Semite. Just because you say good morning, it's going to get to that level of like the power in that, it's going to be taken away. It's not going to have any power anymore. So much that when you scream that someone is an anti-Semite, it's not going to hold any weight. It's just going to be that whatever.
So maybe with a show of hands, how many of you have seen swastikas in school?
Okay. How many of them seen swastikas in school? Now, I'm sure that they go to school with some black kids, depending on their community, but the majority of these kids are going to these schools where even if just sprinkled with one or two black kids, we're in the building. Do you think the small amount of black kids that go to school with these kids will have the gall and audacity and the balls to spray paint a swastika on a Jewish kid's locker? Who has that kind of who has that level of, balls to do that? That's somebody from the dominant society that's doing that. They're the ones running around with the spray paint, and they're laughing and giggling, thinking it's funny, and they want to just spook you. So instead of them doing some other approach, they're going to do the thing that's going to hurt the most. They're going to spray a swastika on your locker, just like they would spray the N-word on mine.
So most of you, okay. How many of you have been subjected to anti-Semitic language in school?
Okay, let's break that down. What is anti-Semitic language? Is it calling someone a damn Jew? Is it saying, fuck you, Jew? Is it saying your community? You know what I'm saying? What is anti-Semitic language? You see, the reason why I'm questioning this is because it's getting to the point where anything can be considered anti-Semitic. Any language can be considered anti-Semitic. There's no distinction now. It's like, again, even though I'm being funny about it, it's going to get to that clownish, cartoonish, comical level where it won't even be taken serious, and the power of anti-Semitism is going to be gone. So when someone says, let me get a double shot in my espresso, you're considered anti-Semite after that. You see? If you don't date a Jewish girl, you're going to be considered an anti-Semite. If you don't date a Jewish guy, you're going to be considered an anti-Semite. If someone says, hey, what do you think about this Jewish rapper? He cold, ain't he? He kind of reminds me of Lil Dicky. And then you just sit there and don't say nothing. You just don't say nothing. That's going to be considered anti-Semitism because you're on the fence. You can't give them These people want you to answer them when they want answers. And they want you to follow their list, quote unquote, of demands when they put them out there, when you cross them or transgress them in some kind of way.
The first time you realized what anti-Semitism was, the first time you experienced it, maybe saw it, how old were you?
I was online. I think I was 7 or 8, and it was like a super popular game. And there were these two trolls, I guess, and they said, "Hail Hitler, gas the Jews."
Hold on. She said her first time experiencing some form of anti-Semitism is when she was online at the age of around 7 or 8. And someone said, let me take this back.
A super popular game. And there were these two trolls, I guess.
Two people.
And they said, "Hail Hitler, gas the Jews."
Okay. She's 7 or 8 years old, online, I guess playing a game. And two trolls said, "Hail Hitler, gas the Jews." Soak that in right quick, y'all. She's 7 or 8 years old, online, playing a game, and someone or a couple of people that she's online playing this game with just screamed out, "Hail Hitler," and "gas the Jews." I'm not saying that what she's saying is not true or it's all cap, but let's think about this. If, for the sake of the argument, if that is true, I'm assuming she's playing a game that's also within her age range of, so other kids around 7, 8, maybe 19 years old playing this game as well. You know, people from the dominant society teach their kids at a very young age to be anti-everything if it's not white. So who's to say that these two trolls who scream, "Hail Hitler, gas the Jews," weren't two white kids from the dominant society? How would they even know who you are or what your nationality is if you didn't put anything up there that represented that. Did you have your whole name on there? Did you, in your handle or your avatar name, did you have like your last name, something that gave them a red flag to make them be like, okay, whoever this kid is, they're Jewish. Let's scream Hail Hitler and gas the Jews to this person. I'm just saying, I'm not being funny when I mention this. I'm asking everyone to really think about what she just said. She said, I was 7 or 8 years old. My first time experiencing anti-Semitism was playing a popular game. 2 trolls said, Hail Hitler and gas the Jews. Our black kids don't talk like that. Little black kids do not talk like that. I'm saying this is because this piece that's on CBS Mornings came about because of all the so-called anti-Semitism that was sparked by Kyrie Irving, Kanye West, and now Dave Chappelle, because they finna put a target on him because of him, his monologue from SNL over the weekend. Let's go.
And I still remember those exact words like so many years later, because they just kind of hit really deep, and it was kind of like a shaping experience for me.
She said those words hit really deep, and they still hurt years later. Now, you said you were 7 or 8. Now, you're in high school now. This wasn't too long ago, especially if you're playing games online. So this wasn't a long time ago. So whoever you experienced that from, they had to be someone from the dominant society. Black kids don't talk like that. Black kids don't even know who Hitler is, let alone gas the Jews. But you know what group of kids do? Those little group of kids from the dominant society who end up going to Klan rally meetings with their parents.
What about social media? Do you see a lot of anti-Semitic language on social media?
Yes. That's that I believe is where I had my first encounterment with an anti-Semite. He ended up texting me one time in all caps, oven, oven, oven.
Listen to what she said, because words matter. He asked, do you guys experience any anti-Semitism online? She said yes. She said this guy texts her. Okay, now it could have been a Freudian slip for, hey, he slid in my DM or he inboxed me. But she clearly said he texted me. Texting oven, oven, oven. Now, if you got a text, I'm just saying it could have been a Freudian slip, but I'm going to go with what I got. I'm going to go with what I'm working with. She said, this person texted me, oven, oven, oven. So if you got a text, that clearly lets me know that this is someone that you personally know. You've received text messages from this person before. I know we're living in a time where people can find your information, just randoms out there can find your information, but that sounded personal. That sounded like someone you know, you're friends with, someone you go to school with, maybe got pissed off, and that's what they hit you with because they know, you know, your background, your nationality, whatever you're claiming to be. And it's probably because they know your family, know your last name and things like that. So that wasn't an online attack. That was a personal attack. That sounded like someone you personally know text you with that and they was digging to hurt you.
Which
Have the same text.
Yeah. I did report his account, but like there's no way of knowing if anything actually happened.
Do you feel that it's easier for people to be anti-Semitic online?
Yeah.
The cover of the internet?
It's like a blanket of protection over them. They could go online as any other name and like say extremist things.
Okay. These kids sit back. I don't know these kids personally, but they're from that community and they are very sensitive. For people to have so-called been through so much, your skin should be tough, just like our kids are. Our kids' skin are tough. Now, we deal with things every day, stressful things, bullies in school, homework. Does this boy or does this girl like me? Yes, our kids deal with stuff like that. But also our kids know their history and they know where they come from and they know what they're faced with and the challenges they have to go through growing up as Black in America. And they have tough skin. A lot of our kids don't snap off when you call them the N-word. They blow that off. A lot of our kids don't get sensitive to the touch when you say something to them. Even when you sometimes disrespect us. We sometimes don't fly off the handle like that on some. It's not like that with us, especially with our kids. This is a community of people who are walking around sensitive to the touch. As a metaphor, just some way of saying that you can't hardly say or do anything to them or around them because they're going to translate that as you being anti-Semite. Now I'm going to ask a question, and I want someone in the comment section to let me know. Do you think these kids that's on this show right now, do you think they have Black friends? And if they do you think they care about their Black friends' history, about what their Black friends' ancestors went through in the transatlantic slave trade? Slavery here in America, having our ancestors' babies fed to alligators. Do you think they have Black friends in their circle enough to know that? Because I seriously doubt it. They wouldn't be running on television screaming, "Oh, I'm so hurt," if they really knew what we went through. They would sit their asses down and be like, "Okay, I ain't went through nothing. Let me stop because I'm kind of, getting hyped." But you get what I'm saying.
And then oh no, that account gets banned, I'll make another one.
I think that social media and pop culture has had some positive effects on marginalized communities, but we've also just seen the amplification of stereotypes and harmful conspiracies.
When someone like Kanye West amplifies those types of messages with his platform, does that give those words more power?
Let me stop right after his statement. You see the way he said amplifies? He emphasized the word amplifies. Kanye West, in the opinion of the majority of Black people in this country, is not wrong. We are only considered wrong when we speak the truth. And a lot of the times, our truth exposes the lie from the other side. The reason why this is all what it is because someone doesn't want you to know the truth. Someone doesn't want you to know that Kanye West and Kyrie Irving are actually telling the truth. When you've been telling people a lie for so long and it's worked for you for so long, you've been able to benefit from it for so long, you're going to do everything you can to jump in front of it, which means, especially if you're in power and control of everything, you can smear someone's image. You can make it seem like the slightest thing they done is horrible. So now we got to focus on them as a distraction off of you. These people do not want the truth revealed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does, because he has a huge fan base. His followers on some social media account are double the amount of Jews in the world.
And I'm going to say you are correct. You know why his social media accounts probably double the amount of Jews in the world? It's because the Jews that following him are the real Jews. Us. It's us. We're the ones that you're talking about, young man. It's us. You cannot separate us from us. When Kanye West said, we are the original Hebrew Israelites, he is absolutely correct. We are the original Jews. These people, if they were actually sincere, like they want you to believe, they would step back and acknowledge that. These people and the rest of the dominant society have a serious problem realizing that black people are their parents. I'm going to say that again, man, because that felt good saying. These people, including the rest of the dominant society, have a serious problem realizing that blacks are their parents. They come from us. If I'm lying, someone do the knowledge and challenge me on that. I'm going to give you a perfect example of how this works, and then I'm going to go ahead with the clip. Take every color in the world, okay? Let's take every color in the world, and each color is in its own paint bucket. And now we got this great big vat that we're going to pour each bucket in. So we're pouring white, red, green, yellow, pink. I mean, every color, neon, puce, teal, whatever it is. We're pouring every color that exists in the world into this vat, and we're going to stir it up. You know what's going to happen? Do you know what's going to happen? That vat with all those colors in it, you keep swirling and stirring it around, it is going to turn black.
Which is crazy to think about. I know at least some of them might be anti-Semites, and that's a problem.
It goes from people, saying he's not really like that, he's whatever, going through a tough time. And then the next second, there are neo-Nazis holding up signs on the 405 freeway on an overpass saying Kanye was right about the Jews.
Okay. This isn't going to be an offense to anyone, but Kanye West was right. Now, if the neo-Nazis happen to agree with him, then that's on them. That isn't Kanye West's fault. Kanye West didn't ignite the hate that the neo-Nazis been having inside of them forever against the Jews. He didn't ignite that. They've been having that in them. They just adding that into the mix. Okay, we're going to use this against them. We're going to use that against them. Oh, Kanye West says something. Oh, we most definitely going to use that. That's all that is. Kanye West, even if Kanye West hadn't have said anything, that would have been the same sign. It would have just said someone else was right about the Jews. There's this real push to make black people the face of anti-Semitism when we know that's not true. Has anyone seen the movie The Jazz Singer? That old school movie. You know what that's about? Jewish people. It's about a Jewish man singing in blackface. You hear what I just said? It's about a Jewish entertainer entertaining in blackface, mocking and disrespecting, and making fun of black people. Where's all the rage to get that movie taken down from Amazon? I left that dead space there for nothing, because this is exactly what you get when you ask that question. Where's all this fake rage coming from? Because if you really want that rage to be meaningful, hey, don't just scream on, Hebrews to Negroes. Scream on The Jazz Singer and Birth of a Nation and all these other movies that make fun of, disrespect, and pretty much mock black people and our culture.
Which brings me to another question. Why should everybody else care about anti-Semitism?
It's not just Jews. This can happen to anybody. Anti-Semitism, right now it's talking about Jews, but there are so many ways that it could be flipped against different minority and maybe even sometimes majority groups.
Any harm being done to human beings is unacceptable, and no matter who you are,
She's trying to clean
you should
it
care
up.
not because we're Jewish,
I appreciate that.
but just because we're other humans.
Okay, good way to cap it off with a little soft something. But overall, to me, in my personal opinion, this is like a fluff piece. It doesn't really hold any weight or any merit. It's just these people throwing their kids out there to like make people feel sorry for their community. But when it happens to our kids, you see, these kids right here, they haven't had anyone from their community at the age of 12-year-old shot and killed by police for playing with a toy gun. These people haven't had that happen to them. Stop. My dog is making noise. Stop it. All right. So I'm not trying to minimize what they're talking about, but all while they're going to whatever school they're going to, I'm going to say this, whatever school they're going to, and they're dealing with swastikas being spray painted on their lockers and oven, and Hail Hitler and all that stuff they're dealing with. If there's any black children at their school, you better believe they're getting worse than what you guys are going through. And they're not being invited on a television show to talk about it.
Exactly
That's
right.
a very powerful conversation.
Very powerful, and they're so young
I know.
to get this lesson so early. It's
Gail said these kids are so young to get this lesson so early. Just like a lot of black children throughout the history of America. I just mentioned Tamir Rice. What about the kids his age? What about Tamir Rice's friends? Did anyone talk to or have on a television show or have any counseling for the young friends and classmates and relatives of Tamir Rice? Grown people, grown black people have been traumatized by that. So just think of his classmates. Just like the same black kids who went to school with all those kids who came up missing during the Atlanta child killings. Their classmates are now 40s, 50s, and they're up there in age. Those people are traumatized. No one spoke to them. It's like no one gives a damn about what our black children go through. But these kids get bullied and get swastika spray painted on their lockers, and they get invited onto a national television show. Morning news, nationwide. But who spoke to the classmates of Tamir Rice? Since these little Jewish kids are getting this lesson at such a young age, Gail, did you all have the classmates of Tamir Rice's if Tamir Rice on the show? Huh? I don't think you did. No one reached out to that little girl who was in the car and witnessed Philando Castile being shot and killed by a police officer. Remember her? She was in there saying she had to calm her mom down. It's going to be okay, mama. I'm right here. No one reached out and talked to her. Here it is years later. She's old enough. I'm pretty sure she's been seeing the footage. She's been told about it time and time again. That happened to her when she was at a young age. That lesson was handed to her at a young age. Why didn't anyone come and speak to her about it? My point is this. Stop making these people so dang gone special. You're treating these people literally with kid gloves. These people are walking around here sensitive to the touch. But at the same time, the Sarah Silvermans and the Howard Sterns can disrespect us, make fun of us, do blackface, make mockery of our culture. But then when Kanye West comes out and speaks the truth, and Kyrie Irving shares the truth, and Dave Chappelle reinforces the truth, it's a damn problem when black people just speak the truth. It's going to get to the point where no one's going to take your screams of anti-Semitism serious anymore. You're putting yourself in the position of the boy who cried wolf. You're going to get to the point where it's going to get clownish, cartoonish, comical, and no one's going to take it serious. A woman's going to be walking down the street and she may trip over a crack in the concrete, and that could be considered anti-Semitism. Someone sitting on the bus reading a newspaper, minding their own business, could be considered. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? I know it sounds crazy, but it's going to get to that level. It's going to get so much to the point screaming anti-Semitism is not going to have any power anymore. You burned it and ran it in the ground. You've made everyone who had questioned anything about your position in the world, who actually brought up facts about you, you suppress that, and then you tell us that we don't run everything, when actually we know that you do. Farrakhan, in his video piece that he released here recently, clearly admitted that. Farrakhan, Malcolm X, our people have been talking about this community for the longest. Malcolm X said one of the biggest mistakes the people from that community has done was always trying to run behind anti-Semitism anytime someone questions their position in the world. Damn. We can't ask any questions about these people. That lets me know, and people who think, well, these people are literally going all out their way to hide something, and whatever that is, they don't want it exposed. So when someone like Kanye West says, we are the real Hebrew Israelites, that struck a nerve. We're living in a time where the truth could get you ostracized and even killed. Remember, I made a clip here recently saying we must protect our brothers. That's just not Tariq Nasheed and Kanye West. Now there's Kyrie Irving and Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle came out the other night. His monologue was okay. It wasn't as strong as the other ones he had done when he previously hosted SNL. But he had made some powerful points. And now the ADL is upset about it. The ADL don't never say nothing when it comes to us. I know that these people designed and crafted for their group, but if they're a group of, if they're an organization that, fights for justice and equality around the world, well, why don't y'all ever say nothing when it comes up when we're being disrespected? It's people online who are scared to say Jews. They're saying the J people, the small hats, those people, those folks, them over there. You got people literally scared to say the word Jew. I'm from Chicago. We used to go shopping in Jewtown. Those Maxwell Street Polishes, that's the commercial name for it. In the hood, in Chicago, we call it a Jewtown Polish. Am I going to be persecuted because I brought up a Jewtown Polish and we used to go shopping in Jewtown? All of us from Chicago know that. You're a tourist, you come to Chicago, you're going to get you a Maxwell Street. You're going to go to, a Maxwell Street Polish. But you in the city, you hungry, you're going to go get you a Jewtown Polish. Same thing, different name. But that's what we know it as. You're going to take that away from us. We can't say a Jewtown Polish no more. We can't say a Jewtown Polish. We can't say we used to go to Jewtown and shop anymore. Everyone got free reigns to disrespect black people. And this is where we're going to have to make all of this stop. Stop having your way with disrespecting us, people from your community. Stop thinking that this public lynching of Kyrie Irving is going to make us be like, oh my God, we better not know. It's actually making us be like, oh, we better get stronger and deal with these people. We're going to come out and say, forget going to your movie theaters, forget drinking your liquor, forget shopping at your grocery stores. We're going to let you guys have your hands in everything. We don't have to give you our money. We don't have to watch your games, especially go to them. Stop thinking you're the only one that can embarrass somebody in the public. Black people ain't did it just because we are compassionate. If we wanted to, we could, though. So again, I'm not trying to make this long and drawn out. I just wanted to say, hey, I recognize this piece. I didn't like it, and I wanted to point it out. It's online for everyone to check out. Please leave your comments below. I am your man, Dollar Bill Skull, and I'm saying, again, as I always say, it's FBA versus everyone. Protect and preserve the culture. Do not let these people fool you. I'm out.